Greetings of good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you to this session presented by Cunsult, What After Degree, by Shri Raghav Chandra ji. From the Indian Administrative Service Officer, rose to be Secretary to the Government of India currently, founder and CEO of Expert and Connectivity and Instant Advice app Cunsult, an independent director on a few listed company boards, an accredited arbitrator has decided important commercial arbitration cases. Adjunct faculty with the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Articles and op-eds on management and sustainability issues has been published in leading journals and has a monthly column in Business World magazine. Has played a proactive role in overall infrastructure development of India and the state of Madhya Pradesh in particular. Specific work areas has included highway development and urban infrastructure, development, industrial infrastructure, and public-private partnerships. Has headed several important corporate bodies at different times: National Highway Authorities of India, MP State Industrial Development Corporation, MP Trade and Investment Facilitation Corporation, MP Road Development Corporation, Indian Highway Management Company, MP Civil Supplies Corporation, SCZ Indore, Pithampur Auto Cluster, and the MP Housing Board. He has been an alumnus of Harvard University as Edward S. Mason Fellow, dividing time between Harvard Kennedy School and the Harvard Business School, and Delhi University. As a resident of St. Stephen's College, has also participated in various executive management courses in top global institutes such as Cambridge University's Judge School of Business, Columbia University, Berkeley University, and the IIMs. Also, hosted three successful events in Bhopal, named as Bhopal Literature Festival, and director of Bhopal Literature Fest. Also, I would like to speak to take on the stage.
Thank you, Ekas, for the introduction. And I understand that you have invited various student friends of yours and connects from Bhopal and neighboring areas to this webinar because you wanted to discuss questions that were in your collective minds. So I'm indeed happy to be sharing my thoughts and ideas with you all. And I'll be happy to take aboard questions that you have and to answer them and to talk about a little about Cunsult and about where things are going for us in general. So, as you are aware that I joined the Indian Administrative Service in 1982, and I did my schooling in La Martiniere College, Lucknow, which is an Indo-French institution. And it was set up by a founder who worked for the Nawab of Oudh. He was a Frenchman who came into the British Army and became the commander-in-chief of the Nawab of Oudh. And then he willed that from his legacy, from his earnings, 3 schools should be set up in the world, one in Lyon in France, another in Calcutta, and the third in Lucknow. So La Martiniere Lucknow was set up in 1845. So that means it's about 170 years old. And it has the most beautiful building in the world. No school has a building as beautiful as La Martiniere Lucknow. So if you gentlemen ever go to Lucknow, please do visit La Martiniere because it's a heritage building. It is unique. And no school can have a premises as beautiful as that next to a river. After La Martiniere, I decided to come to St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and which was at that time and continues to be the premier institution in the country. I got admission to economics honors, but I decided to take maths honors because I also got the science talent scholarship, and I could avail the science talent scholarship only if I had joined a science stream. So I decided to join maths honors with subsidiaries in science. And there, I must say that coming from a small place like Lucknow to Delhi, St. Stephen's College was a major cultural change. And since you people have wanted to know my journey, my experiences, let me tell you that coming from a place like Bhopal or Lucknow or Indore to a place like Delhi or Mumbai is suddenly a cultural change. I had students who had traveled abroad multiple times with me as my classmates. I had students who had participated in various contests which I had not participated in. And I was somewhat of a relatively more introverted person. But the beauty of an institution like St. Stephen's is that it allows you to grow, to flourish, to find your own levels of competence. So I slowly began to excel not only in my subject, which was maths, but also in various extracurricular activities like quizzing. I got ground colors for squash. I participated in all kinds of social activities. And as a result, I was awarded the Sudarshan Kumar Memorial Award for the best all-rounder. And I learned a lot in that college. I made beautiful friends. And today, some of my best friends and some of the best people I know, the people with the most rounded personalities, the most, uh, you know, excellent ideas for the country, for the world, and some of them are commanding top positions in the world, have been from St. Stephen's College. After St. Stephen's, I came to the IS in 1982, and it has been a grand journey. The IAS and the civil services provide you a great platform for innovation, for learning, for helping society, and for contributing to nation building. So I've held various positions, as Ekas has pointed out, starting with the assistant collectorship in Satna in 1983. But let me tell you about my experience as in the Masuri Academy. We were taken to, we have a 10-day attachment with the military. So we were taken to Baramulla's Uri sector, and I was part of the 4 by 6 Gorkha regiment. And we, for one night, we had to spend in the bunkers where we were in a position of eyeball to eyeball with Pakistani soldiers. We could see them marching and parading and doing their morning routines. And here we were in the bunker, absolutely freezing cold. And we used to play squash. We had rifle shooting. And I used to play a lot of squash in those days. So my arms and my elbows were very, very strong. So I remember that once we were a group of about 20, and the colonel of the Gurkha regiment, he said, look, this is my kukri, and I will give my kukri to the person who's the best shot. So we were given machine guns to shoot, SLRs, and since as I said, my hands were very, very firm, I had 20 upon 20 as a score, and he immediately took out his Gurkha kukri and presented it to me and said, young man, you must keep this as a souvenir. So the civil services is a great experience. Depends on what you make of it. So we had army attachment, we had public sector attachment, we had village attachment, we had tribal attachment, and all kinds of fun, lots of studies. And then I started my career as an assistant collector in Satna, where I had some powers of the collector. And then I became SDM in Sihura and Jabalpur. Then I became SDM in Ashok Nagar. I became additional collector in Korba, where I handled practically half the district. I was handling the tribal area work and the development work and the law and order problems. And someday, when we have more time, I can narrate in detail about my Korba experience, how I solved the law and order problems there. They had about 15% of the country's coal production used to come from there. And every now and then there used to be a strike there of the Communist Party workers, laborers, and how I resolved that. That's a story in itself. Uh, and the kind of pollution that Korba used to have, we took major steps to resolve that. And from Korba, I came to Khandwa, where I became collector Khandwa. And as you are aware, Khandwa is the place from where Kishore Kumar hailed, and he used to always call himself Khandwawala. So I spent a grand time there, did a lot for Kishore Kumar. I tried to create a Kishore Kumar Memorial Museum, which would have been the first music memorial museum in India, but unfortunately, The family themselves did not support me, the Kishore Kumar family. And I did various other initiatives there. Then I became collector Jabalpur, where again I did a lot of interesting things. And from Jabalpur, I came to Delhi as a deputy secretary in the Commerce Ministry. I spent about 4 years in the Commerce Ministry. And then I became a director in the Commerce Ministry, handling very, very important charges. At that time, one of my charges was software exports. And the software exports of the country were overall only $1 billion. Today, I'm happy to say that they are about more than $100 billion. And India's exports have really uh, gone a huge way. And today we have $300 billion of exports. Uh, I opened up exports in particular to the Latin American countries, which is again a great area of success, and various other measures. Then I went to Harvard to study for a year on my own. Government of India used to have a scheme of sending officers to Commonwealth countries, but unfortunately in that year I could not get a placement because they said seats are reserved either for women or for various other quotas. So I applied to Harvard on my own. I got a scholarship from the World Bank on my own. And at Harvard 1 year, I had the complete freedom to attend either the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or the Harvard Business School, or the Harvard Kennedy School. And it was an amazing experience. I did 5 courses at the business school and 4 at the Harvard Kennedy School. And they were all amazing courses, amazing teachers, amazing experience. Then I got back to Madhya Pradesh. I became MD of the Civil Supplies Corporation. Then I became commissioner of the Housing Board, Riviera Township, Platinum Park, Center Point, Metro Plaza. All these were initiatives which I took. Then I became MD of the Industrial Development Corporation, the MD of the Road Corporation. Later, I became the Principal Secretary Revenue, the Principal Secretary Urban Development, which is again a tremendous charge. So all the states, municipalities reported to me, and some of my contributions from that time have been reason why today the cities of Madhya Pradesh are some of the cleanest cities in the world. Indore is, for 5 years running, has been rated as the most clean city of the country. And Bhopal, Ujjain, and so on are not very far behind. So after that, I came to Delhi as a joint secretary in the Ministry of Road Transport and Housing. Then I was additional secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, reporting to the Ministry of Finance as the financial advisor. And then I became chairman of the National Highway Authority. And today we have electronic tolling on the roads, which had not taken place, and I ramped it up. And as a result of which, the billions of dollars which were lost by cars stopping at toll plazas for manual tolling, that was converted into electronic tolling. And I remember the dilemma which the country faced and how I resolved that by roping in NPCIL. And today, FASTag has become a great success story of the nation and of the highway sector. Some of the major expressways were launched at that time, like the Eastern Peripheral Expressway, the Meerut Expressway. Initiatives were undertaken for constructing tunnels, etc., and for various other facilities like wayside amenities and so on. Later, I became secretary of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, where I began to research the subject of scheduled tribes. I edited a book called The Eternal Wisdom of the Tribes, and many of the initiatives that we have taken there are today bearing fruit. Like, for instance, I asked for a dedicated non-lapsable fund for scheduled tribes that is now seeing the light of day, and various other things. So I just want to tell you that my journey has been a very vivid, a very diverse, a very fruitful and productive journey. Everyone should learn from it. In fact, the journey of every civil servant is unique in its own way, and there is much to learn from it. I also want to tell you people that how lucky you are today, because unlike our time, things have changed tremendously today. And in our time, the country's GDP, per capita GDP was only about 275 US dollars. Today, it is almost 10 times that amount. In our time, when we joined the service, even as additional collector Korba, if I have to talk to Delhi, I used to have a manual phone where I used to lift up the phone and ask for a call to be connected to Delhi. And the operator would often say, कि sir, phone line सब clogged हैं, आपको lightning call लगाना पड़ेगा. And whereas normal call used to cost 30 rupees per minute, a lightning call would cost 500 rupees for 3 minutes. And I remember my wife was going to Delhi and I had to talk to my father-in-law. So a lightning call was done, but the operator said, sir, वहां की आवाज थोड़ी धीमी आ रही है, आपकी आवाज उनको धीमी आ रही है, तो आप मुझे मैसेज बता दीजिए. So I passed on the message that my wife is coming by such and such flight, and for that I was charged 500 rupees. So, our foreign exchange, we were a very, very depleted foreign exchange reserves of just 1 month of oil imports. Today, things have changed dramatically. We have uh, about $500 billion worth of foreign exchange. We have unicorns being established in the country in the startup field every 4 or 5 days. India leads in the area of digital financial transactions. Things for you people have changed dramatically. The world is the limit. There are enormous opportunities to be tapped. And therefore, there is every reason for you people to feel elated, to feel happy, to feel optimistic about life, and to get the best out of it. So with these opening words, I would now request that and suggest that you all ask me the questions that you want to ask, so that I can ask specific questions and help you take this forward. I can see Jyoti also. Hi Jyoti, how are you? Okay, good, good, good. So I can see that some of your students are there. Good. And gentlemen, whoever wants to ask, please go ahead, ask me the questions. And Ekas, you can also ask whatever questions you want to ask. I'll be very happy to reply to them as best as I can. बच्चे लोग, आपको समझ में आ रहा है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. So I'm very happy to see young Sikh students from Punjab participating. I'm so happy to see that you are dedicated to your work and your teacher has brought you in. So what is this course that you are doing, this baccalaureate course?
BA. Sir, no, sir. This backside board, this is for international board. That is a PYP program. They are the
Okay.
students from BA second year.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Ekas, would you like to ask the first question?
Yes, sir. My main questions were when you were studying back in Harvard with the scholarship program. How was what was the feeling that you had when you first time landed in United States? Like, did you feel any difference that the development of the countries are too far away, that United States is still 100 years in advance from India right now? Do you still feel that, or India has still made that way to the top and is competing with United States, be it in IT sector, be it in education, be it in the race of making unicorns day by day? India has 100 unicorns right now, being 7 to 8 in just in the month of April. You see that the distance that you saw, that the distance that you saw of development back in the 80s has been covered, has covered a major path right now in India.
Yeah, so good question. I would say that when I landed in Harvard, uh, and I remember first landing in John F. Kennedy Airport. From John F. Kennedy, New York, we had to take a bus to Boston. And from Boston, we took the underground, the tube to Cambridge, and we got off there. So it was, the greatest thing was not so much the physical infrastructure, which was certainly better in the US, But what was most impressive was the systems, that everything worked as per a certain schedule, that there were no encroachments on the roads, that traffic moved as per certain methodology, that the level of computer penetration, digital penetration was much higher, and everything seemed more orderly and methodical. So I would say that when you compare a country like the US or an advanced country with an Indian country, I am not so much impressed by the physical infrastructure. Today, I am the biggest area of difference is in the soft infrastructure, which means the management practices, the way things are conducted, the way things are managed, the rules system, and the governance systems. And I think that is where these countries have taken a significant lead over us. That is not to say that this is a challenge we cannot meet, but we have to change several policies to make this possible and to make this feasible. So Harvard for me personally was like, as if I had been put inside a laundry machine. So it was like a laundrette. And, when you send a dirty cloth into a laundry machine, it comes out, it gets churned and it comes out clean. So why was Harvard like a laundrette for me? Because having worked already at that time, I had worked, 97 I went, so I had worked 17 years in the Indian government. So when you work for the Indian government, your mind gets conditioned in a particular way. You only think of your bosses, you want to please your boss, you want to think of pleasing the chief minister, you want to think of pleasing the minister, of the your commissioner, your collector. So you become used to saying yes or no. You do not apply your mind. And suddenly in Harvard, everywhere, the way everything is taught, whether in the business school, they teach you case studies of a business case, or in the finance, economics, or other courses that I took in the Kennedy School of Government, where the teachers are so experienced that they try and get you to think. They try and get you to ask questions. They provoke you. And until and unless you can ask the right questions, and unless you can frame the right questions, you do not understand that topic or that subject. And so Harvard taught me to question. And having learned to question, I could therefore be more analytical in my analysis, in my studies. I could think better. I could absorb better. And therefore, my overall ability to internalize things became significantly better. And that was the greatest advantage of studying in Harvard, apart from meeting some very outstanding students, some very outstanding professors. And in the business school, there was one professor, James Heskett, whose course I attended. And another very interesting thing about Harvard, for instance, when you can shop for courses. So meaning thereby that there are hundreds of different courses, and you are not forced to attend either this course or that course. You can decide which course you want to attend. So for the mid-career, because I had already got 17 years of experience, so they said for my degree, master's degree, I will need to study only for 1 year. But for that 1 year, I needed to do 8 courses. Now to choose those 8 courses, I could attend classes in about 30, 40 different courses, as many as I could, to understand what they were like and to decide whether to take them or not. So you shop for courses. You go to a class, you like it, you enroll in it. Sometimes you don't like it, you don't enroll in it. So this shopping is a very unique experience, because then you choose courses which you really want to attend. You are not forced to attend this course or that course. Secondly, in the class, there is a concept of cold call. So the marks are given not only for your performance in the examination, but also for the way you attend the class. So if you are alert and attentive, then you will get 50 significantly more marks. So sometimes in the business school, the teacher will suddenly say, Raghav, how do you respond to this situation? And unless you have studied the case, unless you have examined it in close detail, you cannot answer it. So cold calling is something which is very feared, but marks depend on it. 50% marks are for attendance and cold calls, how you respond to them. And so Harvard was a great experience. And I remember once when there was a business school class of James Heskett. So he asked us and did a bidding in the class. He said, how many people, there is a television studio in some city of the USA, and it is going to be auctioned. How much will you bid for it? So somebody bid $10 million, another person bid $20 million, another person bid $30 million, and I was the one who bid $120 million for it. Then he asked me to get up and explain why I was bidding so much for it. So after I gave him about 20 reasons for arriving at the figure of $120 million, he asked the class to stand and clap for me. And I was thrilled because I was a government servant. I had never done business in my life. And when I reached my house for lunch after the class, which is about 20 minutes walk from the class, I got an email from him on my laptop saying, your performance in class was stellar. I want to record to say, congratulations, keep it up. So that is the level of proficiency, the involvement of a professor with the student. So Harvard was a great experience.
Sir, there's a question from Rishi Raj. Please unmute yourself to ask the question to Raghav, sir.
Yes. Sir, I have a query about policy making in the field of government and executive. Sir, because there's a dilemma about executive and legislative, that who is the policy maker and implementer. Because usually the media takes accountability of the legislative body. So according to you, sir, which is the more accountable body?
A very, very relevant question. So you see, in our scheme of things, as you know, that our constitution talks of the three pillars. And the three pillars are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So now let's leave the judiciary aside, because you know what the judiciary does, the Supreme Court, the High Court, the courts. Then you have the legislature, which is the parliament. Parliament makes the laws. And the executive are those who implement the laws. So who are the people who implement the laws? They are the ministers and the officers, the bureaucrats who work under the ministers. Now, what is the inter se role of the bureaucrat and the minister? So once a law is made, how the law is implemented is entirely the responsibility of the minister, right? The minister can hold an officer accountable, but in the eyes of the public, it is essentially the minister who's accountable. As per law, it is the minister who's accountable, which is why every decision that is taken has to be approved by the minister. And the real accountability is that of the minister. But the minister can delegate that task to any bureaucrat. The minister can ask any bureaucrat to implement that task. The minister can decide how that task is to be implemented by the bureaucrat, how the responsibilities have to be divided between the bureaucrats, but the ultimate responsibility is that of the minister. So, unfortunately, what happens is, in our country, ministers get themselves involved in small day-to-day decisions, and they leave the larger decisions to the bureaucrat, and then they get angry if people are unhappy and those decisions are not implemented properly. Whereas what should happen is, the minister should himself decide the larger issues, should tell the bureaucrat that, look, this is what I want you to do, should have a clear mind on things and should not get swayed by small influences. and ask the bureaucrat to carry it out and then monitor the performance of the bureaucrat will do it perfectly. However, sometimes what happens is the politician or the minister does not read files, does not read papers, does not read documents thoroughly, and therefore takes very cursory or immediate decisions which are not sustainable, which are not fair, which are not just, which are not unbiased. And therefore, the bureaucrat has a problem because the minister says one thing one day, another thing the other day. He wants something, he says something, he decides something, and yet is not sure of what to do. The bureaucrat is like the horse. So unless the person who's riding the horse knows what direction to take, he cannot go in that direction. So it's in our country, the bureaucrat has a very challenging situation. Sometimes it works to your advantage because the minister does not apply himself. So you think that you can get away with whatever you want, and you become a hero in the public eye that so-and-so has done such good work, so-and-so has done this, and you get the limelight. But that is not your role. That is the role of the minister to get. He should get the limelight. He should exert himself. Unfortunately, sometimes ministers don't do that. And therefore, they do not get publicity. They do not get popularity. They do not get limelight. So it works both ways. Sometimes when they do not get limelight, they get frustrated. Then they take that anger out on the bureaucrat. Sometimes ministers want too much limelight and they do not share it with the people who have contributed to that limelight. So it's a very difficult situation. It's a situation which is best managed when the minister is very political executive, is very mature, it allows people below them, the bureaucrats, to function effectively, gives them adequate support and amplitude and liberty. And the bureaucrat is mature enough to know his place, to not try and fill up the boots of the minister and the political executive, to not try and hanker for publicity and limelight, and remains cautious, grounded, effective, and works effectively on the field. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, a lot, sir.
Okay, so but if you have a particular situation in mind, you can ask me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jyoti ji, aap puch rahi hain kuch?
Yes, sir. Sir, I just wanted to know, you are talking about Harvard and you had wonderful experiences out there. And, I mean, being such a great grand success, after that also you are still working. And what I have been observing for more than 2 decades, that you are involved into varied projects. So what is the source of inspiration for you? How you are, even I have observed you have been involved into altruistic tasks as well. In spite of your busy schedules, you're working for the student community as well. So what is the inspiration? What is inspiring you to work so hard and in such a grounded manner?
So it's a good question, Jyoti. So the main reason why I find reasons to be creative and to do different diverse things is because, frankly, everything is driven ultimately by your personal motivation to achieve success. That's the selfish motive, that all of us as human beings are driven by a desire to get famous, to do well in life, and to earn. But because unless you can become famous, unless you can do creative things, you cannot inspire others around you. You cannot help others. If I'm a poor man, I cannot give money to people around me. I cannot employ people. If I'm not knowledgeable, I cannot share my knowledge. If I'm not keeping myself fit, I cannot take care of people who are unfit around me. So you can say that there is an element of purusharth in that what our scriptures teach us, that you must keep working, You must try and evolve yourself as much as you can, because only when you are competent, you are creative, you are inspired, you are fired with a zeal, can you share it with others and you can help others. जब आप में ही आग नहीं होगी तो आप दूसरों का दिया कैसे जला सकते हैं? माचिस तो आप में होनी पड़ेगी. So it's ultimately that which drives me, because I see around me, I see vast areas of shallowness, and I feel that that needs to be improved. So it's driven by that motive to generally have enough corpus of energy around me so that I can share it with others. And how I sustain it is, I think, some of the mantras that I do, they have helped me in life at a personal level. Some of our Sanskrit mantras, I think they are very effective. I think they give you a lot of energy to keep going, even in your bad times. So in my career, I have had bad times. As an IS officer, you are still an IS officer, but sometimes you get jolts. You are holding a very, very important, prestigious posting, and suddenly you get moved to a posting which is not so prestigious, which is not so important. You feel demoralized. People come to give you sympathy. They say, sir, आप इतने महत्वपूर्ण पद पर थे, आज आप सर ऐसे पद पर आ गए हैं, सर हमें बड़ा बुरा लग रहा है. Your old driver will come and tell you, sir, हमको बड़ा अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, sir. Your chaprasi will come, your babu will come and say, sir, हमें अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, आपका वो हो गया है. But you are still on an IS officer's job. It's one post move to another. So even on such occasions, I have tried to utilize my time. So whereas my predecessors on some of these light jobs, they would come to office for 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours, they would come late, leave early. I maintained my routine all along. So it was always that I would reach my office by about 10 o'clock, and I would bring my lunch and have my lunch in my room. At best, take a 10-15 minute nap after lunch, which I'm used to. And then I would sit till 7:30 before leaving. So people have always been very surprised that even when you are on a week job, you have continued to work so hard. So I have continued to read, because ultimately you have to become a special, you have to do well. So whether it was tribal issues, which were not my strength, but I read up enough about them. Suggestions I gave to the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes are now being implemented, which are benefiting tribes all across, which will and are benefiting tribes all across the country. So there is a sense of altruism there, of helping society, but also of that Purusharth angle of being able to get the best out of the moment. Why should I leave it? Why should I get dejected? I mean, if somebody wants me to get dejected, then I must prove him wrong. If somebody wants to say that, look, we want to punish you by putting you in a weak job, I want to tell them that, look, you are not punishing me. For me, everything is okay. So I wrote a novel. Every time I got into a weak position, I wrote a book. I created some application or some such thing. Earlier, I created Scratch My Soul, as you are aware of. Now I've created Cunsult. I start writing more. I start playing more. So if you can keep yourself fit, that itself is an achievement, because when you're on a very tense and strenuous job, you don't have that much time to keep fit. So these are ways. It's like a bank balance. In your moment of, you keep earning, you keep creating a bank balance to be used when you need it most. So if there's a famine, when you store grain in a moment of famine or in a moment of extreme inflation, you can use that. Similarly, you can store energy, you can store creativity, you can store many more activities around you to be, so that in your moments of weak moments, you can utilize that to your advantage, and ultimately you benefit people around you. So today, thanks to Cunsult, I'm employing couple of people. I'm paying my developers. They are creating, I mean, some jobs are being created there. I'm creating more happiness. I've connected with you, Jyoti, for instance. You connected with these lovely students around me. So happy to see them in a classroom setting. So in all, I've connected with Ekas, with Rishi Raj, Pal. So it's a very happy feeling to keep working, to create. And this is not that I'm harming myself. I'm playing my golf. I'm swimming whenever I can. I'm reading my papers. I'm being as active as I can. I just don't waste my time.
Sir, I would like to share one thing about these students, that they are from Akal Academy, Badu Sahib, and the turbans you are, able to see on their heads. It's a unique uniform. It's a unique uniform in the whole world. And about these students, sir, 24/7, they people are on the rollout of Guru Granth Sahib part. And along with that, Gurmat studies, they are, going for their regular studies as well. And I don't know how the people manage time. All 24/7 hours they are really following an arduous routine. So
Very good. Very good. I want to congratulate all of you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Any question you want to ask?
So
Sir,
we
they have a question. They have a question.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Please ask. Don't feel shy. Ask fast.
And आप English की मत चिंता करिए, हाँ? Just speak, I mean, so that your point gets across.
You have it in Punjabi. I'll translate it for sir in English.
Yeah, yes. Pucho.
Sir, how did you join IAS?
Because we have lots of interest in it. We
Yes.
also want to give exam of IAS.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So two things. One is the motivation. So where did the motivation, the, utsaha, kahan se aaya? Where did it come from? So my father was in the state government services and all his bosses were IAS officers. So they had seen that their bosses had led good lives, were good people they respected and almost worshipped. So they were very keen that I should join the IAS. So my mother, my father, they were constantly, we will be very happy, we will be very proud when you become an IAS officer. So that must come in you from within yourself. So in my case, it came from my parents that we will, and this used an emotional appeal that we will be very happy. You will make us very happy if you join the IAS. So I wanted to make them happy. So I said, I must study hard to become an IAS officer. First thing. Now about the actual preparations and all that I had the advantage because my brothers had also joined the service. But you have to, today on the internet, there is a lot of information available. Main thing is you have to work hard. Most important today is to work hard in a strategic manner, methodical manner. आपने सब कुछ पढ़ लिया, वैसे ही पढ़ लिया, उससे नहीं चलेगा. You should take the question papers of the previous years, have a look, start at your age, start preparing the general studies paper. General studies paper, you will understand. All the answers are already given on the internet. There are so many courses which are running. Subscribe to them, take them, and start. Make a fat register for yourself. So make a register this thick, right? Take a notebook this thick, long notebook, and start writing, preparing your notes as per the question papers of the last 5-10 years. Take down the question paper and ensure that you have your own notes and start reading them, absorbing them. Start reading the newspapers every day. Because until and unless you read a lot, you will not be able to work hard. You will not be able to understand what is going on. And it's a very competitive exam, but it is not impossible. All of you are capable of making it to the IAS. Each one of you, I can assure you. All it requires is concentrated hard work, focused hard work in a strategic way. एक है कि आपने कुछ भी तलवार चला दी, एक है आपने उसको तरीके से चलाई, ठीक है ना? तरीके से चलानी है आपको, पढ़ाई तरीके से करनी है आपको, स्टाइल से, बिल्कुल सही तरीके से, जिसे in 1 hour you should get the maximum out of it. जब क्रिकेटर बॉल करता है तो उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या रहता है कि वो 1 ओवर में विकेट गिरा दे. वो बॉल इस तरह, you don't know a cricketer कि he bowled 100 overs. No, a good cricketer is a good bowler is one who bowls less overs but is able to get the maximum wickets. So in less hours you should be able to get the maximum result. So study hard, study from now in a focused way. Jyoti ji will guide you, I will guide you, and you must do very well. And you can use the Cunsult app to talk to the various experts on the platform. Jyoti, you should tell them about the Cunsult app also.
Yes, sir, sir. I will introduce you to the directors of our school. That is Dr. Devinder and Dr. Neelam Kaurji. One, whenever you have time.
आप बता दीजिए and I'm always available. Okay.
Sure,
After 3-4 days, anytime can do that.
sure, sir. Definitely.
So I
will
can
share-
see Pal Milhani's hand up, Mihani's hand. Yeah,
Pal Mehani.
Pal Mihani ji बोलिए.
Sir, what to do when you have fear of failure and lack of experience?
Yeah, so there's the famous story of King Bruce and the spider. So King Bruce had lost of Scotland had lost almost all battles. Have you heard this story?
Yes, sir.
So he lost all the battles. So one day he was sitting next to a cave, feeling very, very demoralized
Yes, sir.
and very dejected. He was sitting like this. He said कि कुछ नहीं होता, कोई फायदा नहीं, कुछ लड़ाई का नहीं, मैं तो हर जगह हार जाता हूँ. So then he saw a spider. So the spider was wanting to climb up a very smooth surface of the cave, and the spider was falling. Climbed up, fell. Climbed up, fell. Climbed up, fell. And like this, the spider did about 15-20 times, and then it was able to climb up and it went inside. So King Bruce said, if that spider can do it, why can't I? So the next time he went into battle, he said, no, I will win. And he won. So similarly, you cannot be dejected by 4 failures or 5 failures or 10 failures. Ultimately, you will succeed. You have to tell yourself you have to succeed, and then you will succeed. There is nothing like permanent failure. And you may fail in one thing, but you will succeed in another thing. There are people who fail in mathematics, but they become big artists. There are people who fail in art, but become big mathematicians. So anything can happen. As long as you have the energy to do well, the lagan, nishtha, wo aapko chahiye. Rishiraj?
Shri, please unmute yourself to ask the question.
Sir, can you give us advice about how to solve a problem in the society?
Like, if you tell me what problem, then I'll tell you.
Sir, just general problems for the society, like what a politician does.
No, why should you want to solve them? I mean, what is your role? In what capacity do you want to?
If a person is trying to lead the society, or he's trying to go in that.
Yeah. So what? Give me a problem. Give me the problem, and what are you doing? Are you a student? Are you a politician? What are you?
No, sir. I'm a student in class 12th, preparing for CLAT exam. So I have interest in these fields.
Okay. So give me the problem that you have in mind. First, explain me the problem.
Sir, like.
Rishi, it's okay to talk in Hindi. It's a.
Yes.
आप समस्या बताइए, फिर मैं उसका निदान बताऊंगा. आपका मकसद क्या है? आप चाहते क्या हैं?
सर, जैसे एजुकेशन सोसाइटी में.
नहीं, आप क्या चाहते हैं? नहीं, ये तो आप जेनरिक बात कर रहे हैं ना. आप क्या करना क्या चाहते हैं? आपको चाहिए क्या? पब्लिसिटी चाहिए, या आप दूसरों का भला करना चाहते हैं?
रिजल्ट्स, यस सर.
हाँ,
रिजल्ट चाहिए सर सोसाइटी में, बेटर, जिससे लोग ज्यादा अच्छे से उनकी लिविंग बीइंग बेटर हो.
तो आप लोगों का अगर लिविंग सुधारना चाहते हैं तो किस फील्ड में सुधारना चाहते हैं? शिक्षा की फील्ड में, प्रदूषण उनका अच्छा का निवारण करना चाहते हैं, उनको क्या क्या सुख देना चाहते हैं आप?
सर, उतना स्पेसिफिकली मैंने नहीं सोचा, जस्ट इन जनरल जैसा आपने एडवाइस है.
तो आपको कुछ भी चीज अच्छी करनी है तो आपको उसके लिए पहले अपना प्रॉब्लम को तो समझना पड़ेगा ना, कि प्रॉब्लम क्या है. सो एवरीथिंग बिगिंस विद द प्रॉब्लम. तो पहले आप प्रॉब्लम को समझिए कि प्रॉब्लम क्या है, फिर आप प्रॉब्लम को डिफाइन करिए और ये देखिए कि प्रॉब्लम क्यों हो रही है. ठीक है, प्रॉब्लम क्या है, और उस प्रॉब्लम का अगर निदान कर दिया जाए तो उससे किसको राहत मिलेगी, किस तरह. और सॉल्यूशन तो हर प्रॉब्लम के हैं, लेकिन पहले आप अपना ये देखिए कि प्रॉब्लम क्या है, प्रॉब्लम से क्या क्या नुकसान हो रहा है, और उस प्रॉब्लम से अगर उस प्रॉब्लम को दूर ना किया जाए तो कितने दिन तक किस किस का नुकसान होगा. और अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तब फिर उसका आप सॉल्यूशन ढूंढना शुरू करिए. आप उसमें अपने स्टूडेंट्स का ग्रुप बना सकते हैं, आप एक सोसाइटी खोल सकते हैं, आप खुद लोगों को पढ़ा सकते हैं, हर तरीके की आप चीजें कर सकते हैं। लेकिन आपको पहले प्रॉब्लम अपनी डिफाइन करनी पड़ेगी। किसमें आप प्रॉब्लम प्रॉब्लम पूरे देश की आप प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना चाह रहे हैं, पूरे मध्य प्रदेश की करना चाह रहे हैं, पूरे भोपाल की करना चाह रहे हैं, या अपने रेजिडेंशियल एरिया की करना चाह रहे हैं, या अपने स्कूल की करना चाह रहे हैं, किसी अनाथालय की करना चाह रहे हैं, स्लम एरिया की करना चाह रहे हैं, किस प्रकार की प्रॉब्लम है, उस प्रॉब्लम क्यों है वो समझिए, और फिर उसके सॉल्यूशन भी आपको मिल जाएंगे।
ओके,
और
थैंक
अच्छे
यू।
लोगों को अपने साथ जोड़िए। देखिए, संगति का बहुत हमारे जीवन में महत्व है। अगर आपके मित्र अच्छे होंगे, अगर आप जो कंपनी रखते हैं वो अच्छी होगी, तो आपके सद्विचार रहेंगे और आप अच्छा काम करेंगे। लेकिन अगर आपकी संगति गलत होगी और आपके दोस्त ही ऐसे गड़बड़ होंगे जिनका दिमाग पढ़ाई लिखाई में नहीं है, गलत चीजों में है, तो आपके भी विचार वैसे हो जाएंगे, आपको वही दोस्त अच्छे लगने लगेंगे। आपका दोस्त कहेगा कि भाई आज शाम को चलो बैठ के थोड़ा शराब पी जाए, आप कहेंगे हाँ यार यही मस्त आदमी है, इसी यही दोस्त सही है। और आपका दोस्त अगर आईएएस की तैयारी कर रहा है और पढ़ाई कर रहा है और कह रहा है भाई बिल्कुल मुझे तो निश्चल मन से बस पढ़ाई पढ़ाई करनी है और मुझे ध्येय मेरा ये है कि मुझे टॉप करना है, तो आप कहोगे यार ये अच्छा आदमी है। तो संगति का बहुत फर्क पड़ता है। इसीलिए तुलसीदास ने कहा है कि उन्होंने रामचरितमानस लिखने से पहले पहले कई पेजेस में उन्होंने केवल संगति का महत्व बताया है कि अच्छे संगत दोस्त होंगे तो अच्छे आप बनेंगे, गलत होंगे संगति होगी तो गलत। अभी जैसे ये बच्चे क्लास में पढ़ रहे हैं, अच्छे लोग इनके चारों तरफ हैं, बच्चे सब मेहनत कर रहे हैं, ज्योति जी कह रही हैं 24-24 घंटे ये लोग अपने को अच्छे कामों में लगा रहे हैं, तो इनका भविष्य उज्जवल है, इनकी संगति अच्छी है, अच्छे विचार आएंगे, अच्छे कोई आईएएस की तैयारी करेगा, कोई किसी और चीज की अच्छी तैयारी करेगा, कंप्यूटर इंजीनियर बनना चाहेगा, तो इनका भविष्य बढ़िया रहेगा। हाँ ऋषिराज जी।
यस सर, गॉट इट।
सर जब बैक टू अस सर, जब अब मैं इंडियन सोसाइटी को देखते हैं, तो there is a new topic after COVID that has taken a new point of height, that is mental health. आज भी अगर देखा जाए तो most of the students are still facing some sort of anxiety or depression problems, क्योंकि एक इंडियन इकोसिस्टम ने कुछ ऐसा क्रिएट किया है कि स्टूडेंट्स अपनी पेरेंट्स अपने स्टूडेंट्स अपनी कोई भी प्रॉब्लम अपने पेरेंट्स से शेयर करने में एक बार डरते हैं कि हाँ, अगर मेरे साथ मैंने कुछ गलत किया है तो क्या मेरे पापा मम्मी डांटेंगे। तो इसको कैसे सॉर्ट करें कि जो इकोसिस्टम बना है पेरेंट्स से डरने का, रादर देन बीइंग फ्रेंडली विद पेरेंट्स, हम लोग ऐसा होता है कि पेरेंट्स से डरने लगते हैं कि कोई भी प्रॉब्लम शेयर करें। सो what should we do to really connect with parents and to let them know कि यार that the ecosystem has changed, like we have to be friends, कि they should eventually parents should also share their problems, so that a child should know a child should know what is happening in their home. If the parents are going in a bad financial situation, the parent should tell his child, so that he should also learn that part of life where you have a sudden downfall, be it in the financial or the social situation. So what are your views on the Indian ecosystem that has created such atmosphere around in India, and it's still being there, and it will take a long time to break it?
देखिए, इंडिया में फिर भी the level of connect between the child and the parents, between children and parents, is still very good, unlike in the West where it is not so good. And हम लोग अभी भी कलेक्टिव फैमिलीज में रहते हैं, आपको जॉब मिले ना मिले, आप 18 साल के बाद भी अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ ही रहते हैं। विलायत में तो आप 15-16 साल की उम्र में आपको खुद अपनी पढ़ाई लिखाई, अपनी पेमेंट वगैरह का सबका ख्याल खुद करना है, मतलब पेरेंट्स नहीं अपेक्षा करते कि अब आप उनके साथ रहेंगे, ठीक है ना। तो हमारे यहाँ तो फैमिली सिस्टम की टाइज बहुत स्ट्रांग है, और उनको कहीं कहीं पर वीक हो जाती हैं, कहीं कहीं पर बच्चे बहुत जल्दी इरिटेट हो जाते हैं। उस सब का कारण ये है कि हम आज सोशल मीडिया, टेलीविजन चैनल्स और उन सबको देखकर हम गुमराह हो रहे हैं। और उनको देखना चाहिए, सब कुछ करना चाहिए, लेकिन साथ साथ बच्चों को पहले दिन से ही समझना चाहिए कि उनको अपने पैरों पर खड़ा होना है, खुद उनको पढ़ाई लिखाई में मजबूत बनना है और उनको आर्थिक तौर पर मजबूत बनना है। वो जब आर्थिक तौर पर मजबूत बनेंगे और उनको ये पता रहेगा कि उनको आर्थिक तौर पर इंडिपेंडेंट होना है, कि उनको अपने कारोबार खुद चलाने हैं, कमरे की सफाई खुद करनी है, कि उनको खाने पीने का अपना खुद इंतजाम करना है, तब जाके वो अपने पेरेंट्स की वैल्यू समझेंगे और उनकी नजदीकी पेरेंट्स से और ज्यादा बढ़ेगी। अमूमन हमारे इंडियन सिस्टम में दोनों तरफ, पेरेंट्स को भी और स्टूडेंट्स को भी ये गलत फहमी है कि अगर बच्चे को ज्यादा प्यार दोगे, कि बच्चे को ज्यादा पास रखोगे अपने, तो बच्चा ज्यादा कंफर्ट में रहेगा और ज्यादा अफेक्शनेट बनेगा। लेकिन इसका होता उल्टा है। तो इसलिए पेरेंट्स को भी थोड़ा बच्चे से डिस्टेंस रखना चाहिए, बच्चे को मजबूत बनाना चाहिए। सबसे मजबूती सबसे तगड़ी है शारीरिक और मानसिक मजबूती। तो जो बच्चे बोर्डिंग में पढ़ते हैं वो ज्यादा शारीरिक और मानसिक तौर पर चुस्त रहते हैं। जो बच्चे, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है कि जो डे स्कॉलर्स हैं, अमूमन, एक्सेप्शंस हमेशा रहते हैं, बट अमूमन थोड़ा सॉफ्ट होते हैं। तो इसलिए पेरेंट्स को बच्चों को बहुत स्ट्रांग बनाना चाहिए, मदर्स को बच्चों को बहुत ट्रेन करना चाहिए, पैम्पर नहीं करना चाहिए, बहुत ज्यादा लाड़ प्यार नहीं दिखाना चाहिए, और बच्चों से खूब काम लेना चाहिए। ठीक है ना? हमारे पेरेंट्स हमसे पैर भी दबाते थे। हमारे पेरेंट्स, हमारी मदर कहती थी कि बेटा पूजा के लिए फूल तोड़ के ले आओ यहाँ से, बगीचे से। हमारी मदर कहती थी कि ये मेरे गणेश जी को धोकर ले आओ। तो इस तरीके के छोटे मोटे काम पेरेंट्स को बच्चों को इन्वॉल्व करते रहना चाहिए, जिससे कि बच्चों में लगन रहे, एक उनमें एडल्ट्स के प्रति एक उनके आचरण सही रहे। क्योंकि जब तक बचपन से ही नहीं आप ट्रेनिंग देंगे तो बड़े होकर आप 30 साल की उम्र में उनसे एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते, और इसीलिए ये फासला बढ़ता जाता है।
And if we अगर इस बात से agree करें sir, so nowadays technology has changed a lot of things, be it the multinational companies and the Indian startups जो groceries provide करने का काम कर रहे हैं, इन्होंने कुछ ऐसा इकोसिस्टम बनाया है कि अगर आज के टाइम पे अगर जो जो द पीपल हु आर बोर्न आफ्टर 2005, अगर आप उनसे कुछ बोलो किसी बच्चे से कि यार ये सामान लाना है, ही से कि यार इस ऐप पे ऑर्डर कर दो, ऑर्डर इट ऑन बिग बास्केट, ऑर्डर इट ऑन ग्रोफर्स।
So yeah, so this is leading to a great change in our this thing, and we must not get carried away by all this, कि ये तो देखिए अपने मुनाफे के लिए कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आपको सबसे ज्यादा ये देखना है कि बच्चे को जब तक आप स्ट्रांग नहीं बनाएंगे, अगर आपका बच्चा 3 किलोमीटर आसानी से दौड़ सकता है, अगर आपके बच्चे में कोई ऐब नहीं है, सब्सटेंस अब्यूज नहीं है, और आपका बच्चा पढ़ाई में चुस्त है और अपना खुद फाइनेंशियल जो भी काम करना है वो खुद कर सकता है, ऑफिस या जहां भी स्कूल जाता है अपने आप जा सकता है, तो फिर आप सही लाइन पर हैं। लेकिन अगर बच्चा आप पर डिपेंडेंट है, कि आपको उसको स्कूल पहुंचाना है, कि उसका खाना आपको खिलाना है, कि उसको अब सब कुछ उसकी अर्निंग आप ही को करनी है, तो देन इट्स अ वेरी ट्रिकी सिचुएशन एंड द चिल्ड्रन कैन गेट डिरेल्ड।
And yes, sir, there's one thing that my concern has raised कि मैंने देखा है, like I have seen कि parents, the rich families nowadays, they have drivers, they have cars, they don't send their children in buses, कि they are letting the real experience apart from their child, from their childhood, they are snatching
Correct.
the real experience, they are sending their children in car with a security and a driver. They are
Correct.
sending them schools.
So that's what I'm saying. Parents are becoming too soft. हम जाते थे स्कूल 5 किलोमीटर साइकिल चलाकर, और लखनऊ की लू उड़ती थी, इतनी तेज लू उड़ती थी कि शक्ल पर पूरी धूल आ जाती थी। और एक हमको चढ़ाई, उसमें एक बीच में कहीं कभी कभी इतनी चढ़ाई हो जाती थी कि साइकिल रोककर हमको पैदल चलानी पड़ती थी। बट दैट मेड अस टफ, एंड until you can become tough, you cannot move forward in life. So that's the basic bottom line.
Eventually, I see people see a lot of motivational videos, be it veteran sports stars, businessmen, entrepreneurs. They tell us a lot of things, but it's that we just only look.
True.
I'll say from my personal experience, I see a lot of motivational stuff. I read a lot of books, but I have seen that I haven't. Sometimes I realize that I have read a lot of stuff, but I'm not executing or implying it in my life. I'm just reading it for the sake of knowledge and being cool in the society that I have read this book from a particular author and I am cool. I have not implemented or executed that in my life, and still, that is something. That is the reason why those entrepreneurs are writing books, are employing hundreds and thousands of people, and we are still sitting on what to do with our futures.
True. True. Any other questions, or can we close the session, Ekas?
Yeah, if there's any other questions, please do ask.
Otherwise, so the last question, if anybody has before we close.
I think so Jyoti ma'am has a question.
Jyoti, students have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, give me your name also, young man.
My name is Prabjot Kaur.
Prabjot.
Yes, sir. Kaur.
Prabjot
Okay.
Kaur.
Yes, sir. We are girls.
Yes, Prabjot.
Yes, sir. How much time did you take for preparing?
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Prabjot, it takes a lot of time. You see, your preparation begins from the first day. आप जिस उम्र के हैं तब से प्रिपरेशन शुरू हो जाती है, ठीक है ना? आप मुझसे बात कर रहे हैं आज, आपकी प्रिपरेशन शुरू हो गई. आपके दिमाग में एक कीड़ा पैदा हो गया कि एक आईएएस चीज होती है जो आईएएस को बनना है. अब आपके दिमाग में विचार आ गया, नहीं आ गया?
Yes, sir.
आ गया, नहीं आ गया?
Yes, sir.
तो आप में एक उमंग आ गई, एक लालसा आ गई कि मुझे आईएएस बनना है. यू वांट टू बी एन आईएएस,
Yes, sir.
right? So
Yes, sir.
so today your preparations have begun because you have spent 45 minutes talking to an IAS officer,
Yes, sir.
right? So now you'll go back, you will read books, you will prepare yourself, you will make a fat register for yourself, which will be called IAS notebook or IAS register. You will write down the syllabus, you will write down general knowledge questions, answers, you will buy books and ensure that you have books related for the IAS. Then only you can prepare. And just now you have the time. How old are you now?
What, sir?
What is your age?
19 years, sir.
How much?
19 years.
So you have 2 years to prepare. Earliest you can appear for IAS is that when you are 21 years.
Yes, sir.
So you have 2-3 years. 2-3 years is a long time. Each year has 365 days. So you have 730 days. Right? So build up each day, make every day count.
Yes, sir.
All right. How many of you want to appear in the IAS? Raise your
Sir,
hands.
I also want, sir.
Very good. That's it. So start preparing from now.
Okay, sir.
All the very best to you. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank
ठीक
you.
है ज्योति जी.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to hear you after such a long time.
Thank you, Jyoti. All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Ekas. Thank you very much. All the very best
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
to you and your colleagues. Yeah, all the best.